Good evening. It's Monday. I hope y'all had a great weekend. I did. We had a good church service yesterday and got to say goodbye to, or see you later, to some friends of ours who were moving back up north. And I know they've got reasons for moving back up, but we're going to miss them. But they're good folks, so we got to celebrate them yesterday and say goodbye to them. And we also did communion at church, which was wonderful. I always love doing communion. It's a very touching thing if it's done right. And so I hope y'all had a great weekend. I'm going to read part of Luke chapter 9. It is a very long chapter, and I don't want us to get lost in it, so I'm going to read the first half tonight and do the second half tomorrow night, unless the Lord tells me to go on. But so anyway, Luke chapter 9, and it starts out, Jesus sends out the 12 disciples. And he called the 12 together and gave them power and authority over all demons and to cure diseases. And he sent them out to proclaim the kingdom of God and to heal. And he said to them, "Take nothing for your journey, no staff, nor bag, nor bread, nor money, and do not have 2 tunics. And whatever house you enter, stay there, and from there depart. And wherever they do not receive you, when you leave that town, shake off the dust from your feet as a testimony against them." That meant don't take anything out of that town. I mean, just don't even take the dust. That was a witness to the town that they were not, because of the way they had behaved, they were not worthy to have the blessing of having the disciples there. Herod is perplexed by Jesus. Now Herod the Tetrarch heard about all that was happening, and he was perplexed, because it was said by some that John had been raised from the dead, by some that Elijah had appeared, and by others that one of the prophets of old had risen. Herod said, "John I beheaded, but who is this about whom I hear such things?" And he sought to see him. Jesus feeds the 5,000. On their return, the apostles told him all that they had done, and he took them and withdrew apart to a town called Bethsaida. When the crowds learned it, they followed him, and he welcomed them and spoke to them of the kingdom of God, and cured those who had need of healing. Now the day began to wear away, and the 12 came and said to him, "Send the crowd away to go into the surrounding villages and countryside to find lodging and get provisions, for we are here in a desolate place." But he said to them, "You give them something to eat." They said, "We have no more than 5 loaves and 2 fish, unless we are to go and buy food for all these people." For there were about 5,000 men. And he said to his disciples, "Have them sit down in groups of about 50 each." And they did so, and had them all sit down. And taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and said a blessing over them. Then he broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples to set before the crowd. And they all ate and were satisfied. And what was left over was picked up, 12 baskets of broken pieces. Now remember, this started out as the little boy's lunch. 5 little cornbread things like you'd fry for lunch, and 2 little tiny fish. Not a Captain D's fish feast. Peter confesses Jesus as the Christ. Now it happened that as he was praying alone, the disciples were with him, and he asked them, "Who do the crowds say that I am?" And they answered, "John the Baptist, but others say Elijah, and others that one of the prophets of old has risen." Then he said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" And Peter answered, "The Christ of God." Jesus foretells his death, and he strictly charged and commanded them to tell this to no one, saying, "The Son of Man must suffer many things, and be rejected by the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and on the 3rd day be raised." Take up your cross and follow Jesus. And he said to all, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. For what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses or forfeits himself? For whoever is ashamed of me and of my words, of him will the Son of Man be ashamed when he comes in his glory and the glory of the Father and of the holy angels. But I tell you truly, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the kingdom of God. Now, we've talked about this before. Some people believe that meant some of the people that were standing there were going to live on until Jesus returns, and I'm not sure that's what he meant. The kingdom of God could have been when Jesus was transfigured, or there could be several meanings behind it. You'd really need to do a lot of search and figure out and pray about it. And listen, if the Lord wanted people to live forever until he decided to call them home, that's his business, and he can do that, and it does not have an effect on my salvation. And that's how I try to judge things. I want to learn all I can learn and know what I need to know. But if knowing something or not knowing it is going to affect my salvation, I need to check my salvation. The Transfiguration. Now about 8 days after these sayings, he took with him Peter and John and James, and went up in the mountain to pray. And as he was praying, the appearance of his face was altered, and his clothing became dazzling white. And behold, 2 men were talking with him, Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. Now Peter and those who were with him were heavy with sleep, but when they became fully awake, they saw his glory and the 2 men who stood with him. And as the men were parting from him, Peter said to Jesus, Master, it is good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, and one for Moses and one for Elijah, not knowing what he said. As he was saying those things, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were afraid as they entered the cloud. And a voice came out of the cloud saying, This is my Son, my chosen one. Listen to him. And when the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone. And they kept silent and told no one in those days anything of what they had seen. Now I'm going to stop there. There's still about half the chapter to go, and I don't want to read so much that you get tired of listening to me and don't hear what I'm saying. So we're going to stop there, and we'll finish up the second half of that tomorrow night. There's a lot to grasp in all of that. Excuse me. There's a lot to grasp in all of that, and I don't want to give you more than what you can hear. So anyway, thank y'all for joining me tonight. Again, I hope y'all have had a good day today and are planning on having a good day tomorrow, and I will see you tomorrow.